Hello everyone, I hope you had a great year, and today I'm going to show you my new bot I built over the weekends called the Color Sorter. As the name suggests, it sorts these 6 different colors in their designated bins. So I have the code right here, which I'll go over in a bit, but first let's see it in action. Now I'll go over the bot in a more detailed way. So first here we have a slider, which holds the 6 different colors which fall into place right in front of the color sensor. This color sensor is a very key role in the bot because this color sensor can tell the bot which box the block needs to go. For example, you can see here it's in a green block, so the color sensor knows that it's green. So it's tell this motor to move this container to be in the green and hit it so it goes inside the green box. So now about the containers. So the containers, both containers, they each hold 3 different colors. This one holds green, blue, and teal. This one holds yellow, red, and black. So depending on what the color sensor sees, the containers will turn in the direction in which the motor will hit the block inside. So that is the basic features, but besides that, if you turn it around, you can see I held some wire holders here to hold the wires in place, and I mounted the hub to this plate, as well as a slider to the plate, and these motors are basically connected to the hub, the plate, and almost connected to the slider. So before I talk about the actual program, first we need to see where my motors and sensors are placed. So the center motor is B. So the right motor is A. This one is left. This left motor is E, and my color sensor is F. So now back to the actual program. So when the program starts, we have setup. In setup, we have the default values of all the motors. As you can see here, we set the left motor to 50%, the A motor to 315, the E motor to position 50, and so on. So these are the values that best fits my bot. So you can play around and configure them however you want that suits your bot. The way you can choose your positions is when the B motor hits the block, the container has to be in a certain position so the block can fall inside. So for me, take for example E, 50. So as you can see here, right now it's 30. So if we just move it until it goes to the 50 mark. Here, this is where I want my block to fall. If you want, you can even make it move a little bit more. Like here, if I move it a bit more anti-clockwise, the value increases, and if I move clockwise, it decreases. This is how you can configure your values to however your bot works. So now moving on. So now inside we have a forever loop. So this is basically what to do in each color. Like here, if the color is yellow, which is the start position, the B motor has to move for half a rotation, which is basically, for my bot, enough to hit the block and go back to this 0 position. And you should do this at 75% speed. And then set the previous color to yellow. Same thing, if it's red, you have to turn the motor. If it's black, turn the right motor, and etc. So, but here we have all these turn right motor and all that. So I have actually defined them as blocks. So now moving on to the turn right motor. So as you can see here, we have the direction, degrees, and the position. So direction is which way the motor has to move, left or right, depending on the container. Let's say I want to go to the green, I have to move it left. But if I want to go to teal, I have to move it right. And degrees is basically how much has to move by 90 degrees, maybe even 180 degrees, and so on. Position is basically where it has to be set. Like I said before, and as I said before, you can configure it however you want, but I set my position the way my mod works. So inside here, if the direction is left, then the A motor, since I'm in right motor, which is the A motor, I'm configuring it for the A motor. So A motor should move left for the how many ever degrees I wanted. Like for example in red, I want 90 degrees. So it should move 90 degrees. It should wait for 0.25 seconds. Then the B motor should hit it, and then it'll wait for a little bit more, and then basically the container reverts itself by going the opposite direction by the same degrees, and then it goes to the shortest path to the position, which is the default value. So I have else here. Else is basically if it's right. So if it's right, it's the exact same thing, except the A motor will first move right, it'll hit the motor, it hit the block, and then revert back to its default position. So the same logic is here for the left motor. So E is my left motor. So if it's left, it will have to move by the amount of degrees you set by. The B motor will hit it. The B motor will hit the block, and then the E motor reverts itself back to the original position. And else is for the right. So this is the basic and simple program for your bot to be working. You can optimize it even further, such as you can increase the speed of a motor to make the whole code run faster. You can, instead of making the containers go back to the original position after every time the block falls in, you can make it stay there and set a previous color to be in more flow, and etc. So keep in mind, this is a robot. The results can vary. In my case, I had 90% chance of success rate, but because of many things such as the battery life, the speed of the motors as mentioned, and even sometimes the code. So you can optimize it even further, how much ever you want, to make it better performance and success rate. Thank you, and stay tuned for more videos and more projects from my side.